welcome everyone to Bay Street Q&A. This is a special video series from CHF Capital Markets. We invite CEOs of growing and emerging public companies to discuss their company updates. And we do a deep dive into the latest public announcements of the companies. So with us today is Charlie Regan, CEO of Nerds On Site. And the company is trading on the Canadian Securities Exchange under the symbol NERD, N-E-R-D. So Charlie, welcome.
Thank you.
So for the first question, it would be to follow the recent closing of your first quarter. And you recorded 2.5 million Canadian dollars in revenue. And it was an 11% increase compared to the same quarter last year. So can you comment on this result? And if you can give us an idea where the revenue mostly came from?
Yep, well, we're just an organic growth program. We definitely are getting a little bit of an uptick in new client acquisition at the SME level specifically, but also the SOHO because of the change in distributed work networks. There's an awful lot more remote opportunities out there. So it's still, again, we're not through this. We're still in transition. Many companies flux back and forth with remote and on-site. So there's an awful lot still going on. People upgrading their systems, as well as, of course, companies looking to become more secure with this distributed network circumstance. So those were the big reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about remote work and coming to the office, but CHF, we experiencing the same thing, and we kind of like stuck in the dilemma whether or not we should go back to the office. Yeah. So another question for you is, so we recognize that the revenue comes from Atom Network, was accounted for about like 10% of your revenue. So are you expecting this revenue stream to increase over the next quarters? And do you have like a plan in place to do that?
Yes, Atom is it's a related party company of ours, but it's strictly in the security protocol business. And Atom One and Atom Go are the major product offerings, and the proprietary and patented software element is called Don't Talk to Strangers. So it is the only software out there that prevents any signaling from leaving your network. And that's the only way cyber criminals who are inside your system, in one way, shape, or form, we all must come to the realization that the cyber criminals are, in fact, breaching left, right, and center. You just have to go to a website called haveibeenpwned.com, put your email address in, and see where you've been breached, what personal information is already available on the dark web, gleaned from sources like banks, health institutions and clinics, retail operators, even manufacturers. They've all been breached, and that data is immediately aggregated, packaged, and sold on the dark web for as little as 25 cents to other cyber criminals. So Atom closes down any seepage of data from your laptop, or with Atom Go from your phone and from your servers to any criminal destination, because the only way cyber criminals succeed is when they get some of your stuff from inside your system. And Don't Talk to Strangers prevents that stuff from going to criminals. So we have been moving forward and upgrading our clients on the Atom system, and we are planning a marketing push into the open marketplace in well, I'm going to say in the next 2 quarters. We're launching some mini pilots to test and see exactly what might work best, but the plan is, of course, to to go as far and wide as possible with this technology for the sake of the SME specifically.
Mhm. Yes. Well, I cannot agree more with you. And I think this is just about time that people recognize that, cybercrime is actually a very huge economy. Like people lost like tons of money into that, cyberspace, and actually investing into a good cybersecurity solution, like Atom Network is like the only way that I think that we can combat the development of that, infamous industry. So maybe if we can talk more a little bit about Atom Network, the solution. Uh, I'm curious, is it available to Canadian businesses? And do you have like a plan in place to increase the popularity and the adoption rate of the solution here in Canada?
Yes, we have one of the platforms for going forward for populating Atom in more company systems is the SME Edge. It's a black box, literally, and there are a number of elements in there. One of them is the Atom component, and we have UPIs as well, and a number of other elements in there. But it's a contained box, a lock box, and it sits on the very edge of your network. In other words, it's inside your facility. This is for business operations only, by the way, of any size, from 5 to 150,000. It is hooked up to the network, or I should say it's hooked up to the web. So there's only two cables, actually three cables, sorry. One of them is a power cable, and one of them is a red cable, and that's the cable that hooks the SME Edge up to the internet. So that's the unfiltered and crime-ridden internet coming into the SME Edge box. And in there, it is filtered, and there is one green cable that then you hook your network to. So it goes right from the SME Edge box to your network. So now you have a clean internet going both ways. They call it egress control, making certain that very little that's bad is coming in. But again, it's very tough to prevent all bad from coming in. And when I say this, even the best of companies, the most powerful brands out there in the cybersecurity business, they can only, their basic premise is we need to build a better goalie. So every time the criminals come up with a new way to get inside a system, they'll come up with a patch. These big companies will come up with a patch. So they say, oh, look, we've got that taken care of. Well, for heaven's sakes, they can't even patch until somebody's been breached. So it's going on nonstop. And the criminal network, which is closing in on $8 trillion a year, third largest economy on the face of the earth, they're coming up with new stuff all the time. And many of them only use that breach protocol once. They use it and then they're on to another one. So coming up with a patch is unfortunately not playing the game to win. So we're not into building a better goalie for your network. We're into preventing anything from getting out. That's the only time that the criminals are able to make any money. So our system prevents any of your data from going to any place outside your network that is not a place you've decided that's safe. It's a client of ours, it's a supplier of ours, it's a trusted ally of ours. If it's going to other places, then we believe that that's a criminal breach, and that is eliminated. It doesn't allow any of your data to go anywhere you don't say is safe. So that's the one marketing platform we have. And then we have quite literally just a router-based software platform as well that can be put in place in very small offices or homes. And again, that's the one we're focusing on right now with all of the remote access players. It then prevents, because as a rule, everyone who's working remotely is in fact eventually connected to the server of the main corporation or company. And that means there are now many more places that criminals can get in, and also, most importantly, get out with your stuff. So Adam, through one of our routers, can prevent your server from being compromised in any way. And so that's also rolling out. And we're going to push in a more robust fashion. We're going to push that particular solution, because there's I'm sad to say there's still a reluctance to accept the truth about this scenario. There are many companies who still believe, well, we're just not important enough for anyone to target us. They're not targeting per se. They're just going after every single IP address they see available on the web. And that's it. There are some small groups, orchestrated and organized criminal groups, that are going after municipalities. They're going after healthcare centers of all sorts. They're going after major manufacturers, anyone who is at risk of business interruption, causing them great financial harm. They go after specifically so that they can, with ransomware, get a reasonable amount of money out, and the client will not share that information. And you know the reason why? Because if a manufacturer, say, is compromised, ransomware, and they pay the ransom, they don't want their suppliers, they don't want their clients to find out that their information has been breached, because it's all on that manufacturer's server. So it would dramatically affect the trust dynamic. And that's why we still today, some experts say, we see as little as only 7 to 11% of the true ransomware cases that are being paid today. That's a very small proportion. So there is a bigger problem out there, that it's not that we're looking to pull the blanket off and let everyone see what's going on. We just want everyone to know you are at risk, and we do have a solution that will protect you.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like, you know, it's very, like, the threat is very present, and if like as of today, if everyone is kind of watching the news closely, everyone would be aware of, you know, the recent attack to the Newfoundland healthcare system that has been really put like a very constraint to like the whole healthcare system, and actually like the ransomware is being demanded by the hacker.
Oh, yeah.
And well, not just the Newfoundland healthcare system, but like other government agencies of Canada have been attacked in the past as well. The CRA, and you know, if we look a little bit afar to the world, is the SolarWind and so many other cases. So yes, like this threat is really present, and I completely agree with you. And you know, Charlie, I just love the way that you explained the thing in a very simple language.
I'm
That
not
a
I'm not a
person.
good I'm not a great tech, right? I'm just a business person. But we do have a YouTube every Monday morning. A YouTube video goes out by one of my partners, David Redekop, who is a genius, to be perfectly honest. It is as a result of his work and protecting his 5 sons that we now have Adam up and going, and a terrifically accepted product offering. Talking with major enterprises right now about integration. So he puts out something called Twin, TWINN, and it's just this week in nerd news. All he does is pick 5 stories, and he says it's getting harder and harder just to pick 5, because there are so many that are finally starting to come out. And you're right, it's frightening when people, if they just took the time to read some of these articles, what these criminals are allowed to, when I say this, by hacking into a system, breaking in, they're allowed to control many operations inside key government facilities. And this is the dangerous part, especially healthcare. You know, it's frightening. It should keep someone up at night.
Yeah. That is why, you know, I think with the solution that Nerd is already possessing, I think it could be like it's one of the key of the development of the company moving forward.
It is. It definitely, it's a game changer, and our bad for not having that message easily digested and consumed out in the marketplace yet, but it will be.
Yeah.
It will be.
So yes, so let's move back a little bit to the other side of the business. So you announced the partnership with Staples back in March this year. So has the partnership had an impact to the company's financial results in the last quarter? Are you still in the stage one of the launch? And do you like any other expectation for the partnership to have a bigger impact to the companies?
We're saddened that no, we have not left stage one with Staples. It has not had in any respect at all a material effect on our financials, not at all. They're in the process, as if some have not visited, I highly, I should say, and heartily recommend you visit Staples Studios online. Just search for Staples Studios. The rebranding and reconcepting of their store locations is still in process. They have quite a few in Canada. They're doing the same in the States. And these are wonderful. In fact, I believe by far the best in class SME work centers. No other organization is coming close to providing, cafes, literally university hall standard training and speaker facilities, along with shared office space and corporate boardroom space, all that within the confines of the traditional Staples merchandising operations. So they are moving in the right direction, I believe, because the SME is still providing more than 75% of the jobs, more than 95% of the companies in all developed and developing nations globally. The SME is linchpin, and those small and medium enterprisers are, in fact, finding a new home with Staples. Now, their outreach to be much better partners with that SME community, we're their exclusive business tech client or business tech provider on the street. They have, as most brick and mortar operations, gone through some challenging times with COVID, and they are staffing up on some particular fronts that will affect how they push the marketing for this partnership specifically, and a couple of others that they have. But we're still working with them. We're in constant contact. So from the COO level down, they have a very strong commitment to making this work. It's just, unfortunately, one of those collisions of consequence where trying to restaff after some challenging times, it's not as fast, not as quick as any of us would like, that's for sure. So we're expecting things moving forward. We're hopeful that they will in the new year. In 2022, we'll have all of it back on stream online. I'm touching wood as I say this.
Okay. And well, I think with the pace of us, going back to like some kind of normalcy, or if I may, like a new normalcy, with the ease of the regulation when it comes to COVID restriction, hopefully we can see like a big ramp up in like the like on this side of the business.
Yes.
So moving on to like another thing. So you had talked about some acquisition activities to ramp up the business development in the US. So how are things going with that?
Very good.
Should we be expecting like a deal closing announcement soon?
We, I never know exactly how far I can go in talking about some of it, but we are in due diligence, have been for a number of months now. So yes, we're expecting some exciting news. We're hopeful that it may even be by the end of this calendar, but certainly exciting news in the very early part of the year, if not before. And it's, we have a couple of 3-4 conversations going on, but one is well into the due diligence stage, and we're very excited about it. And it is a major US operation, and it's an integrated player, so we'll be expanding dramatically one particular part of our business, and that's opening many new doors for us in the States. And will also push us into, we'll add at more than 10 states to our present serviced area of 7 states.
Yeah. So, well, I'd like to say, a special thank you for your time today. I believe this is a wonderful update for both existing shareholders of the company and also new and potential shareholders of the company. And well, I hope that we are looking forward to hearing more exciting updates from you and the company. And again, well, a special thank to anyone watching this episode of our Bay Street Q&A. And Notes on Site is trading on the CSE exchange under the symbol NERD, Node. And thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Thomas. Talk soon.